Guys, you're welcome back to today's class. So today we'll be learning how to make these beautiful shorts. You can see mine when I finished making it. So what about this shorts is the fact that it's not too short, it's not too tight, and it's something I can just wear to work or just casual outing. So to make this short, I'll be needing this Ankara fabric that I've had in my wardrobe for a while, and I was just wondering, what do I make with this? So I decided to make a short out of this. This tutorial is going to have a pattern drafting before the sewing because I want you to understand every single thing that we did, and then this short is going to have a side zip. It's not the one that the zip is in the front or at the back. It's going to have the zip by the side. So I just went ahead to measure my waist to hip, which was 10 inches, and then the length of my short is 18 inches. The length I'll be using for this short is 18. If you want yours shorter, you can do 16, but then 18 inches is very okay for me. So I am just going to go ahead and then mark that line, and you know that line that I marked now is my hip line. Then for this tutorial, I didn't want to do minus 1.5 inch from my waist. You know, normally when you're making shorts, you minus 1.5 inch from your waist, and then you now mark your hip. But for me, I just do my normal waist to hip, and then later on I just add band of maybe 1.5 inch or so. But I didn't minus it from this pattern paper. I started measuring from 1. So I divided my hip measurement by 4, which was 10 3/4, and then I marked it on my hip line. So I'll just take that line straight up to my waist, and then I'll connect with my ruler, with my straight ruler. You can see the way I connected it. Don't mind the way it's showing in this video. The line is actually a straight line. It's just the camera position. So now that I've marked this, I am going to go ahead and impute my waist measurement from that line. I'm measuring from that line to the left. You know, normally when you're making your skirt, you measure from the center part to your other side, but now I'm starting my measurement from that line. Please don't make the mistake of starting on the other side because it's not even going to come out well. So you first measure your hip, and then from your hip you take the line up, and then you start from that line to measure your waist to the left. So I just went ahead to label so we don't get misunderstood. You can see my waistline, my hip line, and my full length. So on that waistline, I imputed my waist. My waist divided by 4 is 7.5, and then I added extra 1 inch allowance for my dart. So you can see that's where I connected the line to the hip. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my dart line now. My dart is 4 inches by 4 inches. So I'll just take half an inch and then connect it to the tip of that dart, so that you can see exactly what we are doing. So you can see that this tutorial is very detailed. If you pay attention, you'll never have issues with making shorts with a side zip. And then the good thing is I've already done this and tested it, so it's definitely nice. So I've gone ahead to mark my dart line, and you can see how wonderful it is, how beautiful it is. So for now, let's do the crotch. I know this is where most people have issue, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to come down by 2 inches for my crotch. You can do 1.5, but for me, I do 2 inches. It works better for me and even for my clients. So I came down from the hip line by 2 inches for my crotch, and then I went ahead to extend that line on my hip to the crotch measurement. You can see that I extended it. Then I also went ahead to measure what I have on my hip. Remember, my hip is 10 3/4, and then I divided that 10 3/4 by 4. I divided it into 2, which was around 5.5 or thereabouts, and then I divided what I had again by 2 again. I divided it into 2, and whatever I have remaining is going to be my crotch length. So your hip divided by 4, and then what you have, you also divide it by 4. Another way to do this is by saying your hip divided by 16. Assuming your hip is 40, you just divide it by 16, and then you get your crotch length. But for me, I just measured my hip, which was already 10 3/4. That is my hip divided by 4, And then that same 10 3/4, I now went ahead to divide it again by 4. And after dividing it, I think I got around 2.67, which I used about very close to 2 3/4 to mark. So you can see that our crotch is already out, and you can see how captivating and how beautiful this is coming out. Please, if you're not sure of the measurements, just go back and rewatch the video and understand up to this. There's no need for the rush. And remember that I keep telling you people that you do not watch to learn, you learn to master, so that you master these things. So for my thigh measurement on my laps, I came down by 3 inches from that crotch line. I came down by 3 inches from that crotch line, and then I marked it. Please, I didn't come down by 3 inches from the hip line. I came down by 3 inches from the crotch line. So that is like 5 inches from the hip line, and then that is my laps. So my round lap is around 24 or 24.5. So I just divided it into 2. I used about 12 inches, which is 24 divided by 2. And then I marked down 12. So for the down part of my shorts, because I don't want it flayed there, I'm going to like curve it or manipulate it a little bit. So I just came in by about 3/4 of an inch on my full length. And remember that this is totally optional. I just wanted it to hold me on my laps, to lap on my body. That is why I took out that 3/4 of an inch. This is totally optional. So I'm going to connect from that my crotch length to my 12 inches of my laps. You can see the way I connected it. Then I'm also going to go ahead and connect it down to the full length, so that you see what we are doing there. I'll connect it down to the full length. And then you can also measure, assuming you're measuring your client and her full length is 18, you just measure that place that you have 18, so that you know what the mouth of your short will be. But for me, I just extended the line basically. Basically, that is what I did. And then you can see that the front of our short is already out, and it is just perfect and very fine. So please make sure that you understood everything I said. Are you enjoying this video, guys? Please, our usual routine. Just give us a thumbs up right away. Give us a thumbs up right away, so that others can get to view this video. And if you're enjoying the video, please leave us a comment in the comment section. And also, do you have a question that you would like to ask us? Just put down the question in the comments, and then I will get to answer it. So don't forget, it's still your girl Tekla. And this video, I'm recording it in the middle of the night, and it's just so perfect, because that is when I find quietness and all of that to record masterpieces like this. So you can see that our front pattern is already coming out, and it's just very fine. So I believe you understood everything I did. So we are just going to move over to the back. So for the back of this pattern, I am going to come down by 1.5 inch on my pattern paper. And that 1.5 inch is where I am going to place my front hand. What that means is that my back pattern is going to be 1.5 inch longer than my front pattern. So all you do is just to make sure your back pattern is longer by 1.5. So from there, I came in by 1 inch. I came in by 1 inch from there, like into the back pattern. And then on the side of the back pattern, I also went out by 1 inch. Then on this crotch line, I came out by about 2 3/4 of an inch or 3 inches, depending on what you want. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect from that 3 inches to that place that I came out by about 1.5 inch. So after extending my crotch line, I went ahead to come in by about 1 inch on my waistline, on the center part of my back pattern, to serve as my sewing allowance at the top. So you can see where I went in by 1 inch. At that place that I came up by 1.5, I also came out again by 1 inch to serve as my sewing allowance. So I am going to connect from that place that I have 3 inches as my crotch line extension, and I'll connect it up to that place. You know that you have bum at your back, and then so you have more skin or more muscle at your back, so your bum is bigger than your front part. So that is why we are making this back to be bigger. And remember that our zip is going to be by the side. Please remember that this shorts that we are making, we have the zip by the side. And then remember that we extended it by 1 inch on the side seam. You can see I was trying to connect that, but then that 1 inch is going to be at the tip of where my pattern paper stopped at the front. Just be looking at the pattern paper and you'll see what we did. So you can see me extending it by that 1 inch. So from there, I am going to connect from that 1.5 that I marked at the center point to that 1 inch. I extended it at the side seam. So I'm just going to connect that. And then after doing that, I'm now going to connect from that 1 inch down to my hip line. And that will now be my new sewing line. Do you guys understand? So this allowance that we are adding now is enough to sew this knicker. Like, it's more than enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect that from my hip to that place, and then our new seam allowance line on the back pattern is ready. So you can see that this knicker is already taking shape. And the good thing I like about this is that it's just very easy to draft once you pay attention. So I came to the full length of my front panel and I added about 2 inches allowance. On the laps, I added about 2.5. So I am going to go ahead and connect it from that place. I extended my crotch by 3 inches. Sorry, it's not showing for now, but you still see it. And then I connected it to the laps, and then to that place that I have full length. You still see the curve. There's no need. So from there, I'll go ahead and connect it to the full length like so. You can see the way I connected it. So you can see that this short is not hard to make. If you didn't understand anything, just go ahead, go back small, and then follow up with us. So you can see that our pattern is fully drafted. And you can see the good thing about drafting this in pattern like this is that you can still keep this pattern and use it when you want to make another short. Even if it's trouser that you want to make, all you need to do is just to extend the length of this short into a trouser or into the full length of your trouser. So at the end of this video, what I will do is that I'm going to label this, and then I'm going to keep it as my pattern so that I can use it whenever I want. So guys, are you enjoying this video? Give us a thumbs up, and then there's a wrap top at the thumbnail of this video. Would you like to learn how to make that wrap top? Just put it in the comments. I should drop a tutorial on that, and I will drop a tutorial. It depends on how many people that shows interest. I'll drop a tutorial on how you can make that wrap top. So, but for now, let's just continue with the shorts. And guys, if you have not subscribed to our channel, I'm not even going to shout on that. You are the one that is going to miss out. So please go ahead now, hit the subscribe button and be a part of our community. Do not forget that our online class is still ongoing, and all you need to do is check our description box or our bio on this YouTube, and then you will be able to get to me directly on WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp link there. You can also join our community of tailors. So at this point, I went ahead to place my pattern paper on my fabric. I am just going to cut out exactly what I have because I already added allowance. And remember that this short now is still going to have band. And just like I said, I don't like adding minusing anything for my band because I noticed that after minusing it, the knicker will not sit well on my crotch. So I just used to add the band as an extension. That is to say that assuming I'm adding 2 inches width for my band, the band is like from the waist to the crotch is already like 14. So you can see that my crotch length is very long so that it doesn't form bulk around my crotch area. So I didn't remove anything for the band. So at this point, I just went ahead to cut out my back pattern on my fabric. I'm cutting this into two. Remember that I folded it into two. So I'm just going to add like 1 inch hemming allowance at the end, which at the end of the day, I was like, oh, why did I even add it? But then it's still fine. You saw the final thing that we made. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the back. Then I will as well cut out the front. So I've cut out my back piece and you can see how it looks. I also went ahead to notch where I have my darts. You know that because I added 1 inch at the center of my back pattern, my dart is now going to be 5 inches and then 4 inches in length. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut my front piece. The only thing I did on this my fabric is that I added extra 1 inch, like 1 inch as the hemming allowance, but that is totally optional. You can just leave it at 18. It depends on how short you want it to be. But if you want it to be like the length of that my own that I showed at the beginning of this video, then you can just leave it like that. So I'm going to go ahead now, cut out this my front pattern, and I'm going to come back and then show you guys. So I'm already done cutting and you can see what we have. You can see that this short is already taking place. And I also went ahead to notch that place that I had my dart so that I will know exactly where to impute my dart. So I went ahead to hold it together. You can see the way I'm holding it, and then I'll use my scissors to notch it. So the first thing that we are going to do is that we are going to sew down all that. And remember that our dart length is 4 inches and then the dart width is as well 4 inches. So I'm just going to measure 4 inches and then I am going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew that 4 inches on all the front pattern and the back pattern as well. You can see the length of my dart. I'll just take half an inch on both sides and then I'll connect it to the tip of that dart. Do you understand? So I'm going to do that on my chain and then I'm going to do it on the 2 front piece and on the 2 back. Do you understand? So once I'm done with both of them, I'm still going to come here and I'll show you. So I already marked it on my back piece. I'm just going to go and put all the darts down. You can see that the very first thing I did is to put down all that. Then once I'm done with that, okay, at this point I was already done with that. You can see my darts. This is one of the front piece. And then you also see the second one. You can see that I've added the darts in all of them. So after doing, I'm going to go ahead and then join them together. You can see the way the darts are sitting on the waist. This is going to help to cinch your waist. And you know that if you are making a short or a trouser, you must put that. It's not like skirt that you say, let me omit it. You must put that. You see that dart, 4 inches, 1.5 inches dart, you must put it. So I'm going to go ahead on my sewing machine and use about half inch sewing allowance to join from the waist to my crotch area. I'm not going to join it all through, just from the waist to the crotch area. And then I'm also going to go ahead and do that at the back. I am going to join from the waist to the crotch area as well. You can see that length from the waist to the crotch area. I am going to go ahead and join it with about half inch and then I'll come back to show you guys. So guys, stay tuned. Hope you're enjoying this video. Hope you are learning something. That's the most important thing. And are you going to be trying this technique out? Are you going to be trying this out? Tell us in the comments, and if you did, please kindly you can send us the picture on WhatsApp and then I will share it to my YouTube community here. So I have joined the center part of that together and you can see what we have, and then this is the front part. I've also joined it together and you can see what we have as well. You can see that our knicker is already taking shape. Our short is already taking shape, guys. Join the side seams together. I'm going to join the front side seam and the back side seam together. And then while you are sewing this, you are going to notice that your back piece is going to be longer than your front piece. Please, it is not a problem. It's not something to worry about at all at all. It is not a problem. So just leave it like that, because you know people have bum bum at their back, and that bigger space is what will accommodate the bum. So at this point, I'm going to check how long I want my zip to be. So from that waist, I just came down by about 8 inches, and that is going to be the length of my zip. And then I'm going to use 1/2 inch sewing allowance to now sew it down from that 8 inches to my full length. Like, I'm going to start from that place that I measured 8 inches and join it with 1/2 inch. Then on the other side, I will not have any zip. I'll just sew it with 1/2 inch down. Then if you also want to add inside pocket, you can as well do that. Or would you like me to teach you how to add the inside pocket? Because this short does not have any pocket. It's just a free high-waisted. We'll just leave it like that. So guys, you can see that I have joined it, and you can see that our short is already looking very beautiful. So at this point, we are going to join the crotch area. I am going to place that crotch to crotch, which is seam allowance to seam allowance, and then I'll join to this, and then I'll go ahead and join to the other side. So you can see this is the middle part of the neck. I'm placing the crotch together. I'll sew from one side of the crotch to one side, and then I'll come back to show you. So guys, I've already sewed that down, and you can see that our short, it's coming out nice. I also like this African print that I used to make it. It's just so beautiful, blue and yellow. It's even more beautiful outside the camera. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead now and sew I think I also went ahead. Okay, I'm going to sew the allowance on the hemming. I didn't have hemming gum. I would have preferred to use hemming gum to hem the allowance, but then I just went ahead to sew it down on my machine with my sewing machine, like to hem that 1 inch that we added. Though I think I later used about 1.5 inch so that it would be a little bit shorter. I noticed the short was getting longer than I wouldn't have wanted it to be. So I just folded it in by 1.5 inch, and I just ran a thread on top of it. And then you can see where I've already ran the thread on it. You can see how beautiful this short is coming. Just hold on and you see just that. So now that I have done that, it's now time for us to put our band. Are you seeing the shorts, guys? You can see how fine, how pretty it is. So at this point, we are now going to go ahead and impute our band. How I am going to put this band is that I will measure from one side of that waist to the other side. I will measure the length. And what I got there was about 33 inches. And I'm now going to cut my band with that 33 inches length, and then I'm going to be using 2 inches length. So for my band, I'm also going to be using this beautiful African print as well that I've had for a long time to make the band. I'm just using African print on it. I don't want any plain material as the band. So I'm just going to use this beautiful print to create the band. I'm going to be using the length of 33 inches and the width of 2 inches to make the band of this. You can see that it's 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And then you can see that the length, assuming I'm measuring this without folding it, the width is 4 inches. Like, I will measure it so you see. The width of this band is 4 inches. You can decide to make yours 4.5 or 5, but mine is 4, and 4 is okay for me, so that when I'm done joining it, I'll have 1.5 inch. So I'm going to use my hair stay or my tissue gum, I don't know which one you prefer to call it, to iron down to this. And you can decide to use paper gum, but for mine, I want it to just be soft. So I'm going to use tissue gum to iron that band. And you can see that I also went ahead to press my band closed, and then I'm going to go ahead and start from one end of that waist to attach it round the whole thing. You can see the way I'm going to sew it. So I'm just going to use about 1/2 inch seam allowance or sewing allowance to attach it to the knicker. So I'll go over to my sewing machine. I'll come back to show you guys. So guys, I've already what we have. You can see that the band is ready and the knicker too is getting ready. So you can see how fine this is. So at this point, we are going to now attach that zip area. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure what I have on that waist. Assuming my waist is 30, I'm just going to divide the 30 by 2, which is 15 inches. And I'll measure 15 inches on that band area. And then whatever is left is going to be my sewing allowance, like my zipper allowance. Do you understand? Like as the band is folded into 2, I'm going to divide into 2 as well. And then whatever I have, I'm going to put it down. My weight is divided by 2, which is 15. After that, I noticed I have about 1 inch left as the allowance. So I'm going to use that 1 inch to attach to the skirt and to attach my zip to the skirt. So guys, did you enjoy this video? Kindly give us a thumbs up, and if you want us to pull up the wrap top on the screen, please just indicate and we'll put that up. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.